3 days later, still the question stands. What happened?
3 days later, the tomb was open, stone rolled back, but fear still spoken. Doors locked tight, they were hiding inside. Then the wounded one stood alive. 3 days later, the claim caught flame in the same old streets where they killed his name. If death had won, they could end that day, but the grave stayed empty, and the word got away. Friday was final, that's how Rome made it known. Cross on a hill, public death, public stone. They watched blood fall, watched them gasping for air. Spear in the side, no escaping the prayer. Borrowed tomb, no place. Stone with weight, if the story stopped there, that would have been fate. Another failed prophet, another dead king, another crushed hope with a funeral sting. Disciples scattered, their courage was gone. Nobody planned a movement by dawn. That's not how legends get built from defeat. Not with fear in the room and dust on their feet. Not with Rome on watch. Priests in the city, not with all of them knowing where he was buried. What do you do with the empty place? What do you do with the missing grave? What do you do when the ones who ran start saying they saw him face to face? 3 days later, the tomb was open. 3 days later, the tomb was open. 3 days later, the tomb was open. 3 days later, yeah. Fresh report came from women at dawn. Not the move if you make it far strong in that world. If you're trying to sell lies, you don't build your case on unlikely eyes. But scripture got cause what embarrassment keeps. Truth doesn't polish what history speaks. They came with spices, expecting the dead. Found an open tomb and remember what he said. Still the man didn't instantly stand. They called it an idle tale, couldn't understand. That detail matters, that detail cuts deep. This wasn't blind hype from people, easy to lead. Locked doors, fear, heart still shaking. And peace in the room with the scars not taken out. Just a hope that lived on in our hearts. Hands inside, wounds and marks. Thomas said no, not unless I see. That sounds like a skeptic in you and me. Then the data drew near to the scars. My Lord and my God, from a heart hit hard. What do you do with the empty place? What do you do with the witnesses changed? What do you do when the locked room fear turns into a public claim? 3 days later, the tomb was open. 3 days later, the tomb was open. 3 days later, the tomb was open. 3 days later, say grief can't see a vision, say hope can light a spark. But visions do not empty graves of fold, close in the dark. Say stories grow with distance, say myths need room to breathe. But this began in Jerusalem with names and eyes that had seen. Paul passed on what he received. Christ died, was buried, rose and was seen. Not vague inspiration, not moral advice. A public claim with a cost and a price. Peter stood in the city that knew the cross wasn't hidden, the tomb wasn't too. You killed him, God raised him, that was the sound. Not in some far off mythological town. They could've walked to the place, rolled out the proof, put one body forward and buried the truth. But the claim kept moving, the witnesses bled for the risen Lord. Not a metaphor dead, I'm not saying questions disappear. I'm saying look where the evidence leads, across a tomb and people who claim they had seen. If Christ is not raised, then faith falls flat. Even Paul told the church to reckon with that. The tomb was open, stone rolled back, but fear still spoken. Doors locked tight, they were hiding inside. Then the wounded one stood alive. 3 days later, the claim caught flame in the same old streets where they killed his name. If death had won, they could end that day, but the grave stayed empty, and the word got away. What do you do with the empty place? Oh! What do you do with the missing grave? Oh! What do you do with the witnesses changed? 3 days later, still the question remains.